Invincible is the best superhero show out there. Now, before we start, what differentiates a normal superhero show from a great one is its meaning of it. When we think of great superhero shows, our mind goes to Batman, Spider Man, or even Superman. Now, one thing they all have in common is that they have something they represent. Spider Man represents responsibility with their infamous quote, "With great power comes great responsibility." Batman stands for justice as he is always combating injustice in Gotham, while Superman stands for hope in the way he inspires those around him to be better, that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. The first and only season of Invincible, so far, is about Mark Grayson learning to be a superhero. We first see Mark as a normal teenager with no superpowers. His father, Omni Man, is the greatest hero in the world, being the most powerful on Earth. The first episode is about Mark learning from his father how to be a good superhero and controlling his superpowers. However, the twist is in the first episode at the end where Omni Man kills his other superhero colleagues. This sets up the tension for the season as we see Mark continuously trying to be like his father despite not knowing his father is a cold hearted killer. Invincible is the best show because of the human aspect. Omni Man being a good villain and Mark's true power. The first shot of Mark is as a normal teenager despite having the greatest hero as his father. We get to see him as a human, just like wishing to be as strong as we can to do our normal tedious tasks. He develops his powers and the question for Mark as a new hero is what is he fighting for? What is this all for? Throughout the season, we see Mark struggling to balance this new lifestyle, being a superhero and having a social life. We see his two lives constantly cross paths as he wants to be Mark, but he also desires to be invincible. He goes through trial and error before finding out he wants to be a hero to be there for those who cannot fight back. The show makes the audience see another side of the story that we almost never see in other shows, that is, the human side. The human suffering, their cries, their shock, their pain, it gives the audience a new lens through which we see life. It's not just black and white. We get to feel that everyone in the story matters. The side characters all have their own struggle, their own pain, their own background, and their own motives. This is what makes Invincible special. The show makes each character and each scene feel important. Invincible sees that through Titan.
Sure, man, just fly away. Forget about everyone else down here. Let me show you what you don't see from up there.
We realize that there are others suffering in silence, keeping their pain to themselves. This makes each interaction so much more powerful. We get to feel the character's disappointment, pain, and happiness. Now, moving on to Omni Man. He comes off as an unoriginal, Superman gone bad storyline. However, we know that Omni Man is a bad guy from the get go, but we don't know his true intentions until the season finale. The season finale was when we know Omni Man's true intentions of conquering Earth to make them part of his home planet, Viltrum. Omni Man makes it clear that he will conquer Earth no matter what, and Omni Man starts fighting his own son. Omni Man is not pulling back his punches and is the ruthless villain we have seen glimpses of throughout the season. We know he is a remorseless monster, and now the audience is fearing for Mark's safety and the shock that Omni Man is fighting his own son to the death. This all culminates near the end of the fight when Omni Man's memory goes back to his wife, Deborah Grayson.
Look at Mark.
Strike one.
You and I, we made him. He's ours. When he feels joy, we feel joy. See that look on his face? How can you see that and not feel the same way?
Strike two.
As we get older, it's harder to feel that. The weight of the world, it bogs us down.
Nice one, honey.
But our children remind us of the joys in life. It brings us back, shows us what life is all about. This is humanity.
We as the audience start to see for the first time Omni-Man questioning his own actions. He looks down at his hands and sees his own son's blood on them. He's hurt that little kid that he's raised for years. We have seen this ruthless monster not pulling punches to get whatever he wants. Now his own son is hurt and beaten by his own hands, and his visible regret is apparent. This fight ends with this ruthless villain, who we thought was emotionless, flying away from Earth crying, not as a monster, but as a father that realized he went too far.
Why did you make me do this? You're fighting so you can watch everyone around you die. Think, Mark! You'll outlast every fragile, insignificant being on this planet. You'll live to see this world crumble to dust and blow away. Everyone and everything you know will be gone. What will you have after 500 years?
You, Dad. I still have you.
Mark, despite his father being horrible to him, still expresses his love for him. We see Omni-Man feel bad for the first time in a very sad, depressing scene, yet the most powerful of the show. The fight between Omni-Man and Invincible was gruesome. Omni-Man constantly pummels his son punch after punch, not looking great for Mark. However, this fight highlights Mark's true power, his humanity. While Omni-Man drags Mark back down to the ground to force him to hear the screams, the pain, and the shock from seeing all these individuals die, knowing that Mark himself is causing it as collateral damage with this fight against his dad. Omni-Man does this to show how insignificant human lives are. However, this is not what Mark sees. This is only making him stronger, reinforcing his reason to be a hero. This is Mark's greatest power, his humanity, his motive to keep being invincible, to keep on fighting despite his dad continuously trying to rip his humanity away from him. He knew he was never going to win against his dad. Despite that knowledge, his humanity was what inspired him to keep fighting, despite possibly dying at the hand of his own father. Mark, despite his father being horrible to him, still expresses his love for him. He expresses his humanity towards his father, which ultimately left him speechless. The last shot we have of his dad is Omni-Man leaving Earth crying, knowing he hurt his son. Invincible is the superhero alias of Mark, sounding optimistic. However, the name is not a representation of his power, but of his character. The reason why Invincible is the best show out there is because of these themes that they cover. The symbolism and messages that the show conveys are amazing. It makes Invincible the best show. He is invincible on the inside, as each and every episode serves as a reminder to the audience that Mark is not physically invincible, as he is always getting hurt when fighting other supervillains. His name serves as a representation of Mark's humanity. That is invincible. That humanity that keeps him from getting back up despite the horrors he faces in his true power, and is ours too. Our humanity is what keeps us going, from knowing that there are obstacles in front of us and still going head on to get over that obstacle. It's what makes our character invincible, what makes us advance, what makes us get back up despite feeling like nothing could be good again. It's what makes us